but I think your next comedian is sure to fire you right back up. Put your hands together for Lou Ferrighoe.
Also didn't memorize my notes, so I'm using my phone because on top of not having notes, I'm addicted to technology. Summer and I both were rocking the long skirts. A lot of people do that because it's really flattering. I do it because I have a really long vagina, which my gynecologist likes to remind me every time I get a pap smear by making comments about my really long cervix. She also donates to my work, and I get to write her thank you notes. It's really nice. I don't know if you'll have ever had conversations with people that are really passionate about aliens and about like whether or not they exist, but I had a friend I was talking to once, and he was just like, "No, but they're real! They exist!" And I'm like, I agreed with you. I don't understand why you're yelling at me right now. And I think maybe it's because one of his parents is an alien and he's really tired of people denying that part of his identity. And it's like really frustrating that he can't talk about it with anyone. Back in 5th grade, my friend made a sim family of her and the guy that I had a crush on, and made me their baby, which I didn't ask for in any way. I didn't want to be a part of that family. It was really awkward to find out after the fact. But now we're adults, and she has real children, and she didn't name them after me, and I'm kind of upset about it. So I thought we had an agreement. My mom made me do a DNA test to like find out my ethnicity, I guess, because she doesn't really know. And so like you do a cheek swab and send it in, right? Well, my results came back, and I'm 50% Caucasian, 50% indigenous Mexican, and 100% addicted to marijuana. It's the truth. I have a lot of social anxiety, and so I like to challenge myself by doing things like getting really high and showing up somewhere 15 minutes to 2 hours late, and then trying my best to play it off to not look like a huge asshole. You know, like, okay, how are you going to get yourself out of this one? And usually it's just that like I live in Rochester and figure it takes more than 15 minutes to get anywhere. But I was living with some folks, and we had a flea problem, and I don't know if it's like an issue of a difference in class or just like ethnic backgrounds, but like I've lived with like cockroaches and like rats and all sorts of nasty situations, and one of my roommates had let the animal that had fleas sleep in her bed, and she like had a flea on her face because she let the animal sleep in her bed, right? And it's just like, you don't understand the emotional stress that I'm going through, and it's like, man, I lived with rats, like, unless you have fleas coming out of your mouth like that scene in The Mummy, you know, where it's just like, I can't see your face anymore because of the amount of fleas that are coming out of your mouth, like, I really don't care. But if that is the case, like, we need to get Brendan Fraser stat. I had to go with that kind of infestation before, out of my hands. I don't know if you'll have ever seen those like memes, they're like, oh, if you like poop at work for 15 minutes a day or whatever, you're gonna get paid for however many hours a year for pooping at work, you're gonna get paid to poop. Well, my coworker was like really into that too. And I was like, you know, I like my job. If anything, I want to do something that's gonna like bring up my work experience, so I would rather like masturbate at work for like 15 minutes a day and get paid for that, because like that's the kind of sex work I would really thrive in. I wouldn't have to worry about clients, you know. I know my own safe word, so if things like got out of hand, I could like bring myself back in. I was trying to talk to one of my friends the other day. I ran into him at a bar. I was like just feeling really low, and I was like, hey, you know, like, he's like, how are you doing? I was like, oh, you know, like, my fiance broke up with me, and he's like, oh, that's real. My girlfriend tried to suffocate me in my sleep. I was like, touche. Touche. I turned on my old phone that I haven't used in several months, And immediately, like, that presidential alert went off, you know, it was like, hey, message from the president. And I was just like, at this point, it's really embarrassing because I told him several times not to contact me on that number anymore. It's disrespectful. That's all I've got for you guys.